6:30, mayor service.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. This is a regular council meeting for the town of Petawawa on this day, May 21st, 2024. Welcome to members of council, staff, and all of our guests here this evening. I'll start the meeting off by reading the land acknowledgement, and tonight we have Councillor Carmody reading the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mayor Service. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Petawawa Town Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, and we wish to acknowledge our shared responsibilities in responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action. Calls to action number 10. We call on the federal government to draft new Aboriginal educational legislation with the full participation and informed consent of Aboriginal peoples. The new legislation would include a commitment to sufficient funding and would incorporate the following principles. 1. Providing sufficient funding to close identified educational achievement gaps within one generation. 2. Improving education attainment levels and success rates. 3. Developing culturally appropriate curricula. 4. Protecting the right of Aboriginal languages, including the teaching of Aboriginal languages as credit courses. 5. Enabling parental and community responsibility, control, and accountability, similar to what parents enjoy in public school systems. 6. Enabling parents to fully participate in the education of their children. And 7. Respecting and honoring treaty relationships. Much progress has been made, but more still needs to be done to close the educational success rate gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carmody. And now I'd ask that everybody in attendance please rise and join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. Okay, first we need an approval of the tonight's agenda. I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Roos, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the agenda for the May 21st, 2024 regular meeting of council be adopted. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on any of the matters before us? Okay. Next, we have some approval of minutes. Council meeting for May 6th, 2024. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabarin, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held May 6, 2024 be approved as printed and circulated. Are there any comments, concerns about those minutes? And I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, we're going to start this evening off with a public meeting. We have a public meeting dealing with a zoning bylaw amendment from extractive industrial EM and extractive industrial reserve EMR to general industrial GM on part of lot 20 concession 4 in the town of Petawawa. So I'd like to start off by requesting our planner, Melanie, to confirm notice of public meeting which is normally confirmed by the planner. And just before you go, Melanie, this is Melanie's first ever public meeting, and I know she's going to do good.
Notice has been provided as required under the.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to request if you can advise us if any written comments have been received regarding tonight's application.
A response was received from Enbridge Gas with no objection to the amendment and no other written comments.
Thank you. And now, can you briefly explain the purpose of tonight's amendment?
The subject lands are within part of Lot 20 to Section 4 on Lauren Road. And the lands are approximately just under 13 hectares, just over 31 acres in area. The purpose of the amendment is to rezone the subject lands to general industrial to permit industrial uses, including a proposed log hauling operation. The planning justification report, which was submitted with the application, states that extraction of the aggregate on the property is no longer commercially feasible. There are also several other existing industrial uses along Doran Road in this area. The effective amendment is to rezone the subject property from extractive industrial and extractive industrial reserve to general industrial. And site plan control will apply to any future industrial development on the land to ensure compatibility with surrounding land.
Thank you, Melanie. And is the applicant present, and do they wish to make any opening comments or explain or support the application? I see Anthony is ready to go.
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you again. It seems like I've been here on a bi-weekly basis for the last little while. So just to provide a little bit of additional background and context, as Melanie mentioned, this is a zoning bylaw amendment to take the property from extractive industrial to general industrial. And this follows on the heels of an official plan amendment that was recently completed for the property to take it out of mineral aggregate and to convert it, to redesignate it to industrial. And this was done through the recently adopted update to the town's official plan. So as Melanie noted, the property has been determined over the course of time to not be a commercially viable source of aggregates. And the general industrial zoning permits a wide variety of uses that really are similar in nature to those uses that are permitted in the extractive industrial zone. So the potential impacts on surrounding residential properties, in my opinion, would be the same, if not better. The extractive industrial does permit quarry and pit and associated mineral aggregate operations, including crushing and even blasting for a quarry. As Melanie mentioned, all new industrial uses are required to go through site plan control, and we intend to submit a site plan control application in the near future. We did provide a concept plan for the log hauling operations with the application and with the planning justification report. And the plan that we provided and the materials we provided explain that the proposed use would be to include a new garage and a workshop for logging equipment and logging trucks. It would also have a new office space. It would include an open equipment storage and a fueling area and a log and firewood storage area on the site that would also be outdoors. I think it's important to note that there is no sawmill. Sawmill is not a permitted use in the general industrial zone and is not proposed. It's also, in my opinion, the use would not be a significant generator of traffic. It's really the base of the operations for the forestry company that's going to be mostly out of the bush, and this is for maintaining the equipment and storing the equipment. As noted in the planning justification report, and as mentioned by Melanie, the site is large, almost 31 acres, and it's currently heavily vegetated, which means that there's ample opportunity to mitigate any impacts or any potential impacts on neighboring residential properties. And to that end, you may have noticed on the concept plan that we provided that we are already proposing a 15-meter vegetated buffer to remain along the front of the property, which would mean you probably wouldn't be able to see what's going on from the road. So in summation, it's my opinion that the zoning bylaw amendment is consistent with the new direction in the recently updated official plan, and that the use represents good planning. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Anthony. At this point, I'll ask if there's anybody in the audience that would like to come forward and make any comments or ask any questions. Yeah, you can just come forward and have a seat in the chair and turn on the mic.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we just asked questions. I thought that's professional.
And just, state your name first.
My name is Anita Aubrey.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
My name is Anita Aubrey, and my question is, the section of the property that it shows on the piece of mail that you sent out, is that the only section of all of that property that's being rezoned, is what's in the brown section? Or is all of the property being rezoned?
Melanie or Anthony?
It's the whole property that's being rezoned that was highlighted in the key map in the correspondence that you would receive.
If you have a follow-up question, you can come up to the mic.
Sir,
Didn't know you were gonna be in the spotlight.
I mean, I have questions, but you know, it's a little bit different.
And just give us your name too.
Sure, my name's Michelle Baloney. So I guess follow up to Anita's question was, is this property that's being rezoned here, is it owned by the same company that owns the extractive area in this portion as well?
Anthony's gonna handle this one.
Fine, the answer is, it's in the process of changing hands.
For the front part is changing hands or the back part is changing hands? So this part here that's being rezoned, that's changing hands currently?
Correct.
So the back part will stay with, I think it's Tomlinson right now?
And it's still a licensed aggregate operations, and it's gonna continue to grow.
And for the follow-up check.
Yeah, you may.
How many follow-ups should I get? Is there another access point for Tomlinson other than that main drive that's going through, that's going to be rezoned? Or will they be going through the logging operation area?
As far as I know, Tomlinson doesn't access the site. Moment, and just with all due respect, I'm not here to talk about the Tomlinson property.
No, I just think,
We're not doing
I
anything
saw
for
the
that property.
Tomlinson truck go through there today, but that's the
Through
same
the
area right
gate.
there, yeah.
I can't speak to that. I don't know. Any idea? No, sorry.
Okay, no, that's fair. I just didn't know if there was gonna be logging operations and, heavy equipment going through that, as well as the Tomlinson heavy trucks going through there as well.
Yeah.
So that would increase the traffic of heavy trucks on that road, or how that's gonna work.
So the two are not connected. I can tell you that much. And there will be some heavy equipment. Obviously, there's logging equipment, but this, as I mentioned, is kind of the base of the operation. So it's going to be parked there for service. Primarily going to be, as I mentioned, out in the bush.
Ask that a follow-up? Or
Certainly may.
We just have another chair here.
I know. Do you have hours of operation? Is it gonna be a Monday through Friday, or is it gonna be 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, or do you know?
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
This looks awkward having me stand there. It's unfortunately a little too early to speak to hours of operation. This is kind of the first step in the process, is doing the rezoning. And then, as mentioned earlier, there's a site plan control application as well that's submitted. Probably also worth mentioning the town does a noise bylaw, and so the operation would have to comply with the town's noise bylaw.
For now. Okay. I'll wait. I'll let others ask. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Michelle. Are there any other members of the audience or public that would like to ask? Yeah, come forward, please.
My name is Stephanie Heptich.
You have to press the button.
My name is Stephanie Heptich. I'm actually new to the area. So I don't know if it actually pertains to this, but with there being more traffic, obviously this is going to bring in more traffic on the road. Doran's already fairly busy. We have young children. People fly by on Doran. They pass pass each other on the road. It's completely unsafe. Is the speed limit going to be reduced, like with more traffic? I don't know if they're even related, but like now you're adding big logging trucks. There's already like the cement trucks. Like I just feel like it's just another thing added, like another safety feature added. You have two young kids, but
Okay, I can handle that question. Thanks for your question. So just for some background, Doran Road belongs to Renfrew County. It's a county road. And should any speed reductions take place, the town of Petawawa would have to make a request to Renfrew County. And then they would make a judgment based on our request, whether they would do it or not. But I will let you know at the moment, we are reviewing several arterial roads in the town in terms of speed. And Doran Road is one of them.
Okay.
But I can't give you any timetable or schedule, and I can't predict what the county will do. But it is one of the roads that we're looking at in terms of speed for sure. Thanks for your question. Is there anybody else in the audience that has any questions or comments? Okay, having seen none, are there any members of council that have any questions or comments on the application? Deputy Mayor Sandman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recognizing that there will be some additional traffic, just wondering what the route to that they're going to be used to go into the bush. Are you going to head out Dorn towards Acre, or just curiosity? And certainly based partly on the comment that Stephanie made, it's a very busy street. It's a difficult street to live on. I happen to reside on Dorn as well, so I live what you live. So just out of curiosity, what would the routes be that they're planning to do?
Thank you. Yes, good question. It's exactly as you suggested. The trucks would be heading out towards Acre.
Any further questions or comments from members of council? Okay, then I'll ask the planner to explain the appeal process, please.
There is a 20-day appeal period on this zoning application. You need to also note that as Anthony mentioned, the property was redesignated in the official plans for the official plan update. So the new official plan for the town of Petawawa needs to be approved by the county of Brantford before the zoning bylaw will come into force. Any person who wishes to speak to the application should do so prior to the passing of the zoning bylaw. And if they choose not to speak to the application or provide written comments, they may lose their right to appeal any decision.
Okay, thank you very much, Melanie. And just before I declare this public meeting closed, I'd like to thank the members of the public who came here this evening to ask questions and make comments. It helps us make our decisions when we hear from the members of the public and what your concerns are. So thank you for coming out, and thank you, Melanie. And I'll declare the public meeting, and thank you, Anthony, for being here once again. I'll declare the public meeting closed. So for the members that came to speak for this particular application, we probably have another hour and a half of really exciting activities going on. But if you'd like to sneak out now, it's okay. We won't be offended. Okay, next we have a presentation from Mr. Todd Clark concerning an official plan and zoning bylaw amendment. Mr. Clark, the microphone is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'd spoke here a couple of weeks ago at the prior council meeting about the adoption of the official plan down at Petawawa. I had submitted a submission with the clerk, and I assume everyone's had a chance to receive it, and hopefully everyone's had a chance to read it. If that's the case, I don't have to go over it again. I would like to discuss 3 properties tonight. 37 Dorn Street, which is on full municipal services, water and sewer. Lot 1, Plan 547 on Stephen Street, and Lot 7, Plan 547 on Stephen Street. 37 Dorn Street, I'm requesting a rear yard setback of 1.2 meters, which would basically be the same as a garage on any property, and any other changes to the zone provisions, section 5.2 of the current zoning bylaw, to allow for an additional dwelling unit. I'm also requesting some changes for Lot 1, Plan 547, and Lot 7 on both ends of Stephen Street. One's on the corner of Stephen Street and County Road 26, also known as Dorn Street, and the other one's on the corner of Carla Street and Stephen Street. Both Lot 1 and Lot 7 are over an acre in size. They have partial services, municipal water, and private sewage. Plan 547 of that subdivision was created over 30 years ago when the housing needs were very different than they are today. I'm inviting members of council to walk both properties if they feel they need to get a hands-on feel for my proposals. I think that would be beneficial. Municipal address of 13 Derrick Drive is also part of Plan 547 and was included at the same time. This property was granted a consent to sever the property in the past. This is the mirror image to the Stephen Street proposal. Denying a consent for Lot 7 would be, in my opinion, unjustified, biased, and in conflict with the provincial policy statement. I've provided drawings of proposed structures for Lot 1, Lot 7, as well as 37 Dorn Street to help in explaining what I'm proposing. It should be noted that affordable housing is more attractive to both the occupants and investors when you maximize the potential for each lot. All of these proposals allow for gentle intensification, are an efficient use of land and resources within the settlement boundary, and represent good planning, in my opinion. Construction season in Petawawa is upon us and time is limited. All of my proposals add value to the town of Petawawa and to those in need of more affordable housing. I want to thank you for hearing my submissions tonight, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions members may have.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, and I'll open it up for questions or comments from members of council. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So, while we can all appreciate the great need that we currently have for additional housing and the housing crisis that we currently find ourselves in, as we all know, government operates at a fairly slow rate when it comes time to establishing policy and changing a long-established policy. And our documents cannot be in contravention of the provincial policy statements, simply because they would never get approved if they were. And if our documents are in fact in contravention of any provincial policy statement, then you certainly have recourse to tribunals to appeal any decisions which may be brought forth as a result of those documents. But I'm quite confident that our documents are as they should be and are in conformity with any provincial policy statements that they must be in conformity with. So,
Thank you, Councillor Carmody. Any other questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Griscom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just confirming, sorry, what was the setback you're looking for again on the Dorr Street application? And how many, on the other two, how many dwellings are you looking on here on 7th Street?
Thank you, Councillor. On the 37 Dorn Street, where it's this is a property with full municipal services, the provincial policy statement allows for accessory dwelling units to be one of the ways of doing that. It would be to convert a garage, let's say, into a housing unit. So with that in mind, a reasonable interpretation of that would be to take the setbacks for a garage and apply them to the detached accessory dwelling unit. The net change, there would be no net change in effect. While the provincial policy statement in Bill 23 allowing the third unit as of right, there must be a reduction of setbacks. Otherwise, the point is moot. It can't happen. So that's what the answer to the question is. I would be suggesting a 1.2 meter rear yard setback. And as for a side yard setback, whatever it is for a garage as well. And of course, any other changes, but that's the main one right now. As for lot size, minimum lot size dimensions, again, I'm not sure what number you would pick for that. But the critical number is obviously the rear yard setback, because you don't want an accessory dwelling unit in the front yard of any house, preferably. You don't want it in a garage, preferably. They weren't designed for that. A brand new structure being built, if it has the same setback as a garage, affords the builder a lot of options to do it right and make it more pleasingly aesthetic. As for lots 1 and lot 7 on Plan 547, these are different and they aren't as of right. Bill 23 doesn't particularly cover those two properties. However, I will add that I am aware of Councillor Carmody's suggestion that or comments rather, that the documents amended by the town of Petawawa are in conformity with the provincial policy statement. Provincial policy statement is a political document. Bill 23 is not. However, I've looked at a number of tribunal decisions and the policy statement, and there has to be a way to attain the goals in the provincial policy statement. The biggest difference between a lot on partial services with municipal water and private sewage would be the sewage system. That basically is the difference there. So with a proper hydrogeologic report that can show that the nitrates, there are no excessive nitrates seeping out of your property and into any environmental issues into the neighbors, all things being equal, there is no difference then. So basically it becomes the burden is upon the owner of the property, the builder, the developer, to show that the private sewage system of the equation nets out. We have municipal water, so there's no studies that need to be done from that end. Of course, a planning justification report would also have to be done, and that's understandable. But the main question on lots with partial services, like the two in question, and I might add they're over an acre in size. They're quite large. Like I said, built or developed a lifetime ago. So if that, I mean, it's by no means guaranteed, but I mean, I'm in the process right now. I've hired Maury out of Kempville, Dan Maury, who's providing and done a site visit to each property already. And on an email today, he told me he would have the reports completed by week's end or early next week. The numbers don't lie, and his reports will dictate what direction I go in the future. If it's all sand there, if the reports provide a positive response, then I'll be applying to the town for a zoning bylaw amendment for them to particular properties. One other in the alternative, I should say, is I'd be looking for a part lot control exemption. Basically, this is within, now I've done some research in it, and each municipality seems to view the part lot control exemptions in different ways. Town of Petawawa Planning Department takes a position that it's only for blocks of land within a plan of subdivision. Other municipalities within the province of Ontario allow for the terminology they use is to make bigger lots into smaller lots. And it's one way to do that without going through the long process of a consent application, which has to go to county, has to get notice given and comments and all the other stuff. Part lot control exemption could be used to sever lot 7 on plan 547 on the corner of Stephen and Carla Street. It's over 1 acre lot in size, which would be cut in half, a line, to make two equally sized lots. This would make the lots more affordable. It would allow for more affordable housing. The property wasn't cheap there. But by doing this, it allows another layer of affordability. Don't have to build such a big house for people. Can build smaller houses, and it's more within their financial means. Petawawa is a very expensive town to live in right now. Everyone in this room are probably lucky that we're in the position that we're in. Not everyone is in that position, however. I know firsthand and I'm sure most of the members on council do as well, as the needs of the community in terms of housing. So a part lot control exemption to sever the lot 7 into 2 equal lots would be another alternative I'd be looking at, again, depending on the numbers. And for lot 1 on the corner of Stephen Street and County Road 26, part lot control exemption could be used to sever the lot to allow for a semi-detached dwelling. Currently, right now, the planning department advises me that I'm allowed to put 2 separate dwellings on each property with its own water and its own septic system, because I have the size. I meet all the conditions. I've checked off all the boxes. So it only seems to me, instead of forcing somebody to buy 2 houses, 2 driveways and everything, but if we could break it in two. There's no net change. Everything stays the same. Makes it more affordable. And that's basically what Bill 23 is all about, and the provincial policy statement. And the housing needs assessment that was commissioned by the town of Petawawa, I might add. There's another document that could be drawn on. And again, the municipal address at 13 Derrick Drive, I've been talking to the county, Lindsay at the county, to the planner, Bruce. He says next week we'll have a sit-down meeting when the numbers come in from the hydrogeological report and see where we're going there. When I brought up the question of 13 Derrick Drive being severed many years ago, she acknowledged it was, and wouldn't elaborate really any further at this point. So, like I said, it's a mirror image. It's already been done there. Not that all the lots would, but it's right on the corner of Derrick Drive rather, and Carla. So, if it was done once, it can be done again with little fanfare, I think. I mean, ultimately, it's up to council members. I mean, if it has to go the route of a consent application through county, I would need the support of the town anyways for everything going further. Perhaps there's a way it could be streamlined through a part lot control exemption. One thing I'll just throw out there. But other than that, those are the things I wanted to discuss tonight.
Any further questions or comments? Councillor Carmen.
Thank you, Mayor Service, and thank you for bringing forth all of the detail. And I'm kind of left wondering what exactly are we trying to accomplish here? Because certainly at the council level, we rely on the building department for their expertise. And certainly I, for one, am not going to go and firsthand investigate a lot or check something out every time somebody who wants to develop something has an issue with the planning department. So you just couldn't operate the business that way. If every time somebody was not happy with the decision the planning department made, then you come to council and council overrides whatever the planning department has come up with. No, we never have operated that way. And I don't think we ever will. So I'm just not wondering, what are we trying to accomplish here?
Thank you, Councillor Carmody. I understand that, and yes, the reason I am here tonight is I have had some problems with the planning department. Like I said in my initial submission, I feel I've had significant pushback. Like I said, Bill 23 has been in force for 18 months. I brought these proposals up over a year ago, planning department. I have emails to back up all my positions. I'm not here to be combative. I'm here looking for solutions. If I felt that I was that my proposals were being taken seriously, as opposed to just a straight no, this is the way it goes. That's it. That's all. Well, then the provincial planning statement and Bill 23 would have no effect. They'd be meaningless then if everyone said, well, but they are enforced now, and that is going to require some change. As I said, I'm looking to add value to the town. I'm not looking to do anything but that and supply a need. That's doing it. I own some properties. For the past 30 years, I've been involved with hundreds of houses in the construction end, and I know this town very well. The vast majority of single-family dwellings can't accommodate a third dwelling anyways. They weren't set up for it. The layouts on the properties are not right, the driveways. So the vast majority, no one's going to be in here talking about this, but there are a very small few. And I would suggest that not anyone, there aren't very many, I don't know where any vacant lots left are. There's 2 on Stephen Street that have been there for over 30 years. Other than that, and I've driven around, I know where all the other builders are buying and building, typically all snatched up and developed. So, and the types of housing they're putting in there are not the most attractive to everybody. The densities are heavy. It's people are being crammed into basements. I'm not proposing that. I have some pictures of what I intend to do. if council is, so if you'd like to see, I have one for everyone. If you'd like to see what my thoughts were of everybody, including the accessory dwelling unit that I'm proposing for 37 Dorn Street. Actually, Mayor Service, if I could, I'd like to hand out one to everyone.
Just give them to Councillor Driscoll there, you can pass them around. Okay, while you're doing that, I'll go to Deputy Mayor Sabrin for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Clark, for your presentation and your data. I guess what's missing for me is the other side of this point. I don't know what actually has occurred in the planning department. As Councillor Carmody says, they are they're charged and got the expertise to be able to look at the requests from the perspective of our zoning bylaws and all of the other. Sorry, I did two things at once. Our zoning bylaws and all of the other reference material. On the surface, your request does not seem unreasonable, but your request also may not be reasonable. So I, for one, need a bit more information, but I thank you very much for taking the time to bring it forward for us to thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
If I could, Mayor Service, I just, with the document that was just passed around, the package rather, I just do a quick, brief explanation of what's going where.
Just let me make sure there's no further questions or comments.
My
From
apologies.
members of that. Okay. Are there any further comments or questions? Okay, if you could make it as brief as possible.
Yeah, the main
Thanks.
color picture would be for lot 7 on the corner of Stephen and County Road 26. You'll see in the picture that it's showing an accessory dwelling unit as well as this is what's allowed currently on lot 1, plan 547. You would never know that that was a 2-unit building looking from the front. I didn't. The ADU stands for accessory dwelling unit at the front, and the main floor is also. What I'm proposing in this particular one, if the numbers bear out, would be where the office and tool storage is to add the stairs going, a separate foyer and stairs going to the basement for the 3rd unit in the basement with lots of big space that still allows for 1 floor living on the main floor for those that find stairs challenging. The other, on the grid, the square graph paper that I've showed you is something I drew and submitted to the planning department a year ago. Now, this is what's currently allowed on Carla Street and Stephen Street called Lot 7. Structure A and Structure B. It's allowed both like that. Structure B currently has to be 80% less than the size of Structure A. So that could mean a 2,000 square foot house in Structure A and a 1,600 square foot house in Structure B. So each with their own septic, and if you were to draw a line down the middle of that, that would be a half-acre lot. That's all. So in my position, my presentation is it would be more beneficial and add value to the town if he's allowed me to do what I'm allowed to do anyways. Nothing changes. I get it that there's a line item in the official plan that currently reads no consents will be given to plans of subdivision. However, I don't know if that was adequately addressed. That's my opinion, but so that's for that one, and that's why I got there. And the other one, or what is it? Oh, the other one I don't is this particular picture here is the accessory dwelling unit I plan on proposing on putting at the backyard of 37 Dorn Street. That, in my opinion, is a standard accessory dwelling unit that ranges about 400 to 500 square feet, 1 bedroom, and that's basically what it would look like. I hope this clarifies what's a visual to all the words I've put up here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the visuals and all your comments, Mr. Clark. And I want to thank you for coming in. And thank you as well. You're a developer in the town. You're building homes. You're building the types of homes we need as well. So thanks for being creative, innovative, thinking outside the box. It's the kind of thing we need going forward. The government has asked us to build more homes and to intensify what we have and to try and make use more of what we have. And of course, the bottom line is to make housing more affordable. And I can see a 500 square foot home being more in tune with some of our residents' needs. So thanks for all of that. And I understand what you're saying about the 1.2 meter setback. I think presently, and Karen or Melanie could correct me here, I think ours is presently 7 meter setback. 7.5 meter setback.
So that's for a primary, I don't think that's for a garage though, excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
That's for a secondary dwelling. Is that what it is? Yeah, for a secondary dwelling. That's presently where we're at, but what we're doing right now is we have an official plan. But now we have to update some of our zoning bylaws. And our planning department is in the process of looking at all those things. So it's good that you came forward here tonight and mentioned, you know, the garage and 1.2 setback and the fact that the setbacks we have right now in our present zoning bylaw need to be looked at. And we're presently doing that. And you've given us something to think about in terms of, I don't know if we're going to match the 1.2, but it's definitely something we can look at going forward.
I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. One last thing, I was, unrelated on a different subject, I was reminded when, one of the previous, presentations was, the speed on Carla Street. That is a municipal road, not a county road. So this is probably something that can be dealt with right in council. I'm on that lot all the time, clearing all the dead trees and making it. I'm there quite often, and I see a lot. The people that use Carla Street, I know who the usual suspects are. They come flying down that street and they tie in from Cardinal and they go right to Black Bay Road and they're just flying. I've had the opportunity to talk to some of the council members on their own time here and I'd like to thank them, whoever they were, for listening to my venting some days when I'm an animal lover. I don't want to see animals get hurt and get hit. Chipmunks, squirrels, I love them all. And speeding traffic is, and they're fast. I wouldn't be mentioning this if I didn't feel that they weren't. So that's something I don't know, just another something for you to think about and perhaps address. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's talked about the speed on Carla. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that additional comment. And we have our clerk here and you can put in an official request to get a black cat speed monitor put on Carla. Then we can get the data. And once the OPP look at the data, they can determine sections of the street to enforce. So thanks for that, and thanks for all of your comments this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, members of council.
Okay, next we'll move on to bylaws. First up, we have bylaw 1656/24, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by the municipality to 1000671-679 Ontario Limited, Dr. Michelle Scanlon. I need a motion for the first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Roots. That bylaw 1656/24, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by the municipality to 1000671-679 Ontario Limited, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1656/24, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by the municipality to 1000671-679 Ontario Limited, Dr. Michelle Scanlon. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1656/24.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1656/24. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1656/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions or comments on the bylaw? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1656/24, being a bylaw for the conveyance of land owned by the municipality to 1000671-679 Ontario Limited, Dr. Michelle Scanlon. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1656/24, this 21st day of May, 2024.
Next, we have bylaw 1657/24, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with 1000671-679 Ontario Limited, Dr. Michelle Scanlon. I need a motion for the first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1657/24, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with 1000671-679 Ontario Limited, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, Bylaw 1657-24, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with 10006716779 Ontario Limited, Dr. Michelle Scantlin. This constitutes first and second reading of Bylaw 1657-24.
I need a motion for third and final reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1657/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions, comments, concerns on the bylaw? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, Bylaw 1657-24, being a bylaw to authorize a development agreement with 10006716779 Ontario Limited, Dr. Michelle Scantlin. This constitutes third and final reading of Bylaw 1657-24, this 21st day of May, 2024.
Nice to see that one finally moving forward. We have the land and now the authorization to put a new veterinarian office in the town of Petawawa and add a third vet, I might add, which is great for the town. Next, we have bylaw 1658/24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the corporation of the town of Petawawa as amended. I need a motion for first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1658/24, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 456/07 of the corporation of the town of Petawawa as amended, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, Bylaw 1658-24, being a bylaw to amend Bylaw 45607 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa as amended. This constitutes first and second reading of Bylaw 1658-24.
I need a motion for a third and final reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Roots, that bylaw 1658/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on the bylaw? So just for everyone's information, that was what the public meeting was about this evening. I'll call for the vote then. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, Bylaw 1658-24, being a bylaw to amend Bylaw 45607 of the Corporation of the Town of Petawawa as amended. This constitutes third and final reading of Bylaw 1658-24, this 21st day of May, 2024.
Next, we have bylaw 1659/24, being a bylaw to establish a highway. And this is concerning Dustin Drive. I need a motion for first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that bylaw 1659/24, being a bylaw to establish a highway, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, Bylaw 1659-24, being a bylaw to establish a highway. This constitutes first and second reading of Bylaw 1659-24.
I need a motion for third and final reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Roots, the bylaw 1659/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions or concerns on the bylaw? And I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, Bylaw 1659-24, being a bylaw to establish a highway. This constitutes third and final reading of Bylaw 1659-24, this 21st day of May, 2024.
Next, we have bylaw 1660/24, being a bylaw to establish an electronic funds transfer policy. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Driscoll, that bylaw 1660/24, being a bylaw to establish an electronic funds transfer policy, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, Bylaw 1660-24, being a bylaw to establish an electronics fund transfer policy for the Town of Petawawa. This constitutes first and second reading of Bylaw 1660-24.
I need a motion for a third and final reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1660/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions, comments, or concerns on the bylaw? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1660-24, being a bylaw to establish an electronic funds transfer policy for the Town of Petawawa. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1660-24, this 21st day of May, 2024.
I have to say, this is a very exciting bylaw. It's not going to eliminate signing checks completely, but myself, Deputy Mayor Sabry, the CAO, and our head of finance, thank everybody for putting this policy into place. And I'm sure a lot of our regular customers as well. Getting electronic transfer will be a lot better for them as well. Okay, next we have bylaw 1661/24, being a bylaw to establish a debt management policy for the Town of Petawawa. I need a motion for a first and second reading of the bylaw. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabry, seconded by Councillor Donovan. That bylaw 1661/24, being a bylaw to establish a debt management policy for the Town of Petawawa, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1661-24, being a bylaw to establish a debt management policy for the Town of Petawawa. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1661-24.
I need a motion for a third and final reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody. That bylaw 1661/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions, comments? And I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1661-24, being a bylaw to establish a debt management policy for the Town of Petawawa. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1661-24, this 21st day of May, 2024.
Just to comment on this, I'd say it's a solid move for our organization. It doesn't mean it's going to be open season for going into debt. But should council choose to go into debt, provides us with a framework and policy to ensure that what we're doing is proper and in the best, meets the needs of all of our residents here in Petawawa. So I think that's a solid move to the town. Next, we have bylaw 1662/24, being a bylaw to appoint an acting deputy fire chief. I need a motion for a first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Driscoll. That bylaw 1662/24, being a bylaw to appoint an acting deputy fire chief, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1662-24, being a bylaw to appoint an acting deputy fire chief. This constitutes first and second reading of bylaw 1662-24.
Need a motion for third and final reading of the bylaw. Moved by Councillor Driscoll, seconded by Councillor Coutu. That bylaw 1662/24 be read a third and final time and passed. Any comments, questions on the bylaw? And I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1662-24, being a bylaw to appoint an acting deputy fire chief. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1662-24, this 21st day of May, 2024.
Another good move by the town. We've had an individual who's been acting in this position for quite some time, so it's good to make it official and have that individual be officially the acting deputy chief. Okay, there's no correspondence. Next, we have some minutes. We'll start with council and committee meeting minutes from May 13th, 2024. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the council and committee meeting held on May 13th, 2024 be accepted by council, and that resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council. Are there any questions, concerns on the minutes? And I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Ottawa Valley Waste Management Board meeting of March the 7th, 2024. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabry, seconded by Councillor Roots, that the minutes of the Ottawa Valley Waste Management Board meeting held on March 7th, 2024 be adopted as information. Deputy Mayor Sabry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was officially my last meeting as the representative, and Councillor Roots will be carrying on into the future. Although I have given a quick brief of the meeting, I did neglect to state that election had taken place, and Steve Bennett was once again position of chair with Andrew Plummer as the position of vice chair. Also, the perpetual care investment update was very positive. The investments are doing very, very well. And there also was a transfer to reserves for vehicle rolling stock. It was supposed to be closer to $1 million, but it only ended up having to be $564,082.98, and that was great news for the waste management. The other information was predominantly policies and those types of things, and yeah, I think that's all I'd like to add to my previous verbal update. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to.
Any questions for Deputy Mayor Sadler on the waste management? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Petawawa Business Advisory Network meeting of April the 2nd, 2024. I need a motion to accept the minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the Petawawa Business Advisory Network meeting held on April 2nd, 2024 be adopted as information. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you can see, I was not able to attend this meeting due to a prior commitment. I will take questions if there is any from council. I have spoken to and generalized just about all the topics, but if there's anything, I'd be more than glad to answer or get the answers. Thank you.
Questions for Councillor Roots? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Then all in favor? It's carried. Next, we have the Pembroke Festival Hall meeting minutes from April the 5th, 2024. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabri, that the minutes of the Pembroke Festival Hall meeting held on April 5th, 2024 be adopted as information. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So again, a lot of these minutes I discussed, it's most of them were all in the planning of the fundraising campaign for our facility. Like I said, it was a great success. I will take any questions, and it was a very good event and well attended, and we're very pleased. Thank you.
Questions for Councillor? So that was the Elton Round fundraising event?
Yes, our main event for a fundraising campaign for new audio and video equipment.
Do you know the final tally and how much was raised?
The whole commitment for the whole project was $41,000. Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. And finally, some Petawawa Police Services Board meeting minutes from April the 16th, 2024. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that the minutes of the Petawawa Police Services Board meeting held on April 16th, 2024 be adopted as information. Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. So you can see by the minutes, this was our first meeting of our newly constituted Police Services Board. And so we went over a few things in the meeting, such as we're looking at a new set of goals and new board, new way forward. And I'll direct you to number 10 on in the minutes, which was the detachment planners report. And you can see that Inspector Neufeld reported that we've had some significant trending in the right direction when it comes to violent criminal code and property crime violations. So they're down significantly from the previous year. And as usual, it gets offset by a little bit of an upward trend in some less severe type of crimes. So. And you'll also note that the inspector has informed us that this will be his last year at the detachment, as he intends to retire in April of 2025. That is my report. I'll take any questions that anybody may have.
Questions for Councillor Carmody on the report? Well, I must say it's good to hear that crime statistics are trending downward in town of Petawawa. We've always prided ourselves I know recently we were the second safest community in the entire country. So it'd be nice to hear from Inspector Neufeld or whoever provides us with those statistics, where we sit down, maybe we're number one. Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, next we'll go to staff reports. PW-15-2024, award of tender PW-08-2024, Murphy Road reconstruction. Chris, we'll let you be the bearer of good news.
For sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Yeah, two good news reports tonight. So, the tender PW 08-2024 was prepared and advertised in a local paper on our website. 8 firms requested tender packages and 2 firms submitted complete tender packages on the closing date of May 14th, 2024 at 10 a.m. You have listed there the pricing that was quoted. And the financial implication. I think everybody's pretty familiar with the cost sharing agreement, but we had the estimated construction budget for this project was $4.92 million, excluding HSD, and it has been included in the 2024 budget. County of Renfrew has agreed to fund 50% of the project and will contribute an amount not to exceed $2,460,000 based on the parameters of the cost sharing agreement adopted by Law 1640/24 on March 18th, 2024. And accompanying the report is a write-up by JPQG, basically discussing the project, some of the budget parameters, and we're looking at a start date of June 24, 2024, and a completion date of no later than November 15th, 2024. And staff, of course, are looking for a recommendation to award to Longshore Excavating. Take any questions? Thank you.
Questions for Chris on the report and Chris, maybe you and I spoke briefly before about a couple of tweaks that you made. I think it'd be interesting for council to hear just those few tweaks that we were able to add based on the same.
Sure. So what we did was we had a couple of provisional items within the tender. There were $362,450.73 within the bid that is being used for sewer and water main upgrades. There are 7 homes on Murphy Road that currently are not hooked up to municipal sewer service. So our intention with this project is to construct stubs off the main sewer line and bring it to the property line. The homeowners will be notified that that work will be done, and the sewer stubs will be there for them to hook onto if and when they so desire, if they wish to end their use of their private septic service. So I think that was something that is key, very important. I think we should be doing it. And we also added additional valves and 1 additional fire hydrant. So hydrant spacing is there's like an algorithm to calculate how many hydrants you need in a distance of roadway for fire suppression and safety. So we're addressing a little shortcoming with the hydrant, and as well the additional valves. That gives staff the ability to close off certain segments of the water system in the event of an emergency. And obviously, the more valves you have, the more you can isolate the issue so that you're not shutting off large numbers of the population. You want to keep it as small as you can. So the additional valving is there for emergency future events that could take place. So certainly those are, I think we've covered the pedestrian end of things with this urbanization and safety for pedestrians, but I think we're also looking now at every construction project of are we doing our best to extend services to ratepayers that maybe didn't get a crack at it first time around, and just doing those little things to make sure that when the project is complete, we can sit back and say, okay, we've hit on every item that we wanted to with the project within budget. So I think we've done that here tonight with the numbers you see before.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Bruce.
Just a comment. Thank you very much, Chris. I like that vision. Thank you. Welcome.
Deputy Mayor Sattler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chris, if I could just ask you to go to the budget breakdown for Murphy Road reconstruction. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly based on the original budget and then the budget updated on tender pricing. What's the bottom line to us? And I recognize that part of the project external of those commitments that are the town only will be cost share 50/50. But so originally it was 4,920,000. If you just go to the bottom of the columns there, which is the amount?
4.82.
It
So
is,
that
it
right
still
now,
is the
yeah,
4.82.
so
Okay.
we're still below budget. There's $100,000 of savings. I would imagine that the county will hope to cash in on half of those savings, but we'll see. But the key there was with the provisional items was to see how the tendering came in, and then of course to maximize the 4.92 million. If we're going to do a 50/50 cost share, we should maximize as much as we're getting for those dollars, and I think that's what we're attempting to do. So 4.82 million is the cost.
Pardon me, and thank you, because I just wouldn't want anybody sitting in the audience to be saying, wow, the tender really came under low. We're actually doing more work and still working within our budget. So thank you for that.
That's correct. We are under budget and doing more than what we initially planned.
Any other questions or comments? Again, I'd just like to say that this is a major project for the town of Petawawa in terms of our urbanization moving forward in the future. So just so people can understand, this road is going to end up looking sort of similar to Civic Center Road, with curbs, storms, multi-use pathways, sidewalks. We even have a PXO crossing at Roy and Nuthatch.
Roger, yes.
Yeah, Roy and Nuthatch, to allow all the kids who are biking to school a safe way to cross it over Murphy, because we know they're heading to Herman Street School or Fowler School or all the other schools that they have to cross the street to get to. So I think this is a great project for us in terms of urbanization and the safety of our residents. Not only the walkers and bikers, but people driving as well. It's just a safer road altogether, all the way from Woodlawn to Boulevard. Right. So there'll be some short-term pain this summer and early fall, but it'll look nice when it's all done. Okay, did I get a motion? I can't remember. I didn't get a motion. I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Roos, seconded by Councillor Coutu. The council approve the award of tender PW-08-2024 Murphy Road reconstruction to the lowest bidder being Bonnet Chair Excavating Incorporated in the amount of $4,413,772.01 plus HST. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have PW 16-2024 award tender PW-09-2024, the new office addition Public Works garage. More good news, Chris.
Yes, we made it. We're at the building stage. It's exciting. Yes, so this is essentially the staff report for the new Public Works addition. Pretty pleased with the numbers. The tender was prepared and advertised in the local paper and on our website. There were 11 firms that requested tender packages, and 3 firms submitted complete tender packages on a closing date of May 14th, 2024 at 10 a.m. You have in the chart there the bids that were provided. And the financial implication, the estimated construction budget for this project was $2,746,695, excluding HSD, and it has been included in the 2024 budget. And staff are looking to award tender PW-09-2024 new office addition Public Works garage to the lowest bidder being Wade General Contracting Limited in the amount of $1,825,203 plus HSD. And in addition to that, staff are looking for a 10% contingency allowance in the amount of $182,520.30, and also looking for an additional $100,000 for hydro service installation and activation. The accompanying report from JP2G did mention 50 to 100,000 for the hydro connection. So I went with a larger number, and hopefully it'll come in at 50 instead of 100,000. Happy to take any questions.
Questions or comments on the report? Deputy Mayor Sandberg.
Well, I guess, first of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Chris, I'd like to congratulate you on being able to sit in your seat during. I know that you're very excited. I expected some raw.
Yeah, I'm containing myself.
I see that. So I guess my question, so again, so we've got an additional 282,520. That's over what the original was because of the hydro and contingency. What do you see as the contingency allowance being provided for? Like, what are some of the things that we could possibly see in effect there?
Yep, I guess the way I look at it is 1.8 million for an addition. There's bound to be something in the design that maybe doesn't work, or we have to change something, or change a wall, or add a door, or something. Like we've designed, I think this is a third design, so I'm fairly confident that we have what we're aiming for. But I think in a project of this magnitude, it's good practice to have a contingency. Certainly my intention going into the project is to not use the contingency allowance. But in a project such as this, again, I'm not, my background is in construction of roads and water and sewer. I really wasn't a building person before, so I think that's where the contingency comes in, is just any eventuality that might come up during the construction project, or we need a little leeway.
Sure, and we hope that our friends at JP2G did their jobs well as well, because that's important. I just hope that we can continue to see a few more savings on that, but I respect the need to look at the water potential as well. Thank you.
Councilor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment, just really looking forward to getting this done. I know you are in a small building with the amount of staff you have, and it's unsuitable for what we have, the expansion we're doing. So we're really glad we got this budget and we're going to go ahead with this and get this done by the year. Yeah.
Not only a small building, but a small trailer as well. Yeah. Some of you are in right now.
That's correct, yes.
Further questions or comments? Just a quick question. I should have asked this before, but this overall tender price, does that include the entrance coming off Black Bay and the parking as well?
That's correct. Yes, it includes the new parking area, paving, line painting, the building, and any changes to the fencing required to have the access off Black Bay Road. It's all included in the price. Also, the HVAC, the electrical switches, like switching to a higher transformer, as well as the standby generator, is all part of that price. So it's I think we're covering everything that we wanted to cover with this addition.
And I'm just going to ask you to elaborate on something, because I know we've discussed in length, and a lot of us have discussed that as the town of Petawawa moves forward, we want to build green and reduce our carbon footprint. So I don't want an exhaustive list, but you did mention some of the aspects of the building that are, we'll call them green initiatives, and will reduce our carbon footprint.
Off the top of my head, we did design the roof, the loading structure of the roof to allow for a future a solar panel array to be placed on the building if we so desire in the future. We've also designed it with all the fixtures for reduction of water use. The lighting is how do you say that? It's motion sensitive, so if you enter a room, lights turn on. If no one's in the room, there's no electricity being used. As far as the HVAC system, it's a ground source heat pump system. It's a little different than other office buildings in that each office can control the temperature within the office, which is nice. Some people like it freezing, some people like it really warm. We seem to have that issue here sometimes, but yeah, so I'm hoping for a better fit there, as well as the savings with the ground source heat pump. And I think that's pretty much it. There may have been some other ones, but it was certainly, Also, the design of the walls and the insulation design was, it was as close as you can get to an ICF R factor without going to a full ICF building. So I think we've done well there as well with good insulation and savings in energy there as well. The backup generator is also a natural gas fired generator. It's not a diesel generator, which is more efficient as well.
Okay, thanks for that. And again, I'll echo what Councillor Driscoll said. You know, as the town of Petawawa grows, we have higher capacity and higher needs, especially with our roads and sidewalks and all the mowing we need to do. And we have to increase capacity in terms of equipment, labor, and we just need a bigger space to, you know, accept all that capacity. So this is great to see, and I understand it's only hopefully going to be done next spring. So maybe about a year from now.
Yeah, they quoted March of 2025, but like you mentioned, Mayor Service, there could be some more work that can be done during the winter months, and maybe that can be. I'm going to aim for them to be quicker because I have an ACO trailer right now, so you know the sooner you can get it done, the better. But before I leave, I just wanted to thank Scott for his efforts in helping with, you know, seeing this through, and I certainly wanted to thank all the members of council for your support on this. I'm very, very proud to be the director of public works that's going to see this addition through. It's a career highlight. So thank you very much.
And thanks for your hard work, CIO, and all of our staff's hard work to get this to the finish line. It's great to see. One last question. Since I gave up my office, is there an office out there for me at Public Works?
We made changes. Yes, there are two empty offices.
With a view, with a window and a view?
I will give up mine if you want to.
It's a good place for you.
Scott, I might be moving out. Okay, I need a motion to approve this. Moved by Councillor Driscoll. No, that's Councillor Coutu. Seconded by Councillor Donovan. The council approved the award of tender PW-09-2024. New office addition, Public Works Garage to the lowest bidder being Wade General Contracting Limited in the amount of $1,825,203 plus HST, and the council approve a 10% contingency allowance in the amount of $182,520.30 on top of the tender award amount, and the council approve an additional $100,000 for the hydro, should I say up to an additional $100,000 for the hydro service installation and activation. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's Gary. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. All right. Next, we'll go to councillor reports. Deputy Mayor Savary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll wait till the end of the month to report on May.
Councillor Carmen.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I will also wait until the end of the month.
Councillor Coutu.
Just to say, I've been running the ad hoc Pride working group, and we met lately to plan the next or second annual Pride, which will be happening June 14th. I just want to take a moment to remind everyone that it's coming up, and we will also be having a flag raising ceremony on June 1st, and that will coincide with the opening of the container market at 10 a.m. So put those two things on your calendar, please.
Thank you. Councillor Driscoll.
Mr. Mayor, just one thing. Today I was lucky enough to be a judge at a Bylaw High School contest with students on designing a center. It was very, very informative about what the youth really want, and creativity was very, very nice to see. So I really enjoyed that. And that will be all. Thanks.
Councillor Gunn.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of dates to report. On 7th of May, I was here for a tender for the Public Works, one of their vehicles. I attended the same day an inclusion grant webinar. And then later on in the day, I did a tour of the Pembroke Hospital. Very informative. Passed on a lot of great information. I as well got to be a judge today on the 21st of May for the projects from the kids at Valor. It was very interesting. Came up with some great ideas. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On May 7th, I attended a P-band meeting and discussions around the table were the First Impressions Community Exchange Program, which is coming up in this June. Container market update, which is already rolling with a lot of interest. We had a business and upcoming events information session. Also, the new Petawawa special event checklist was introduced to the committee for business or private space activities. Is available now on our town website. It's a great resource to make sure that you are compliant and safe. It also seems that there's a lot of local interest. They host events. We are receiving great feedback and support from the local and surrounding communities. The Petawawa Ramble is already in the planning stages and with some really good new ideas. I don't want to tell any secrets, but it's very, very good, and we're going to be utilizing for sure that comfort station. So it's this is really going to help promote our town as well. May 7th, I was able to have a nice tour with Councillor Donovan at Pembroke Regional Hospital. It was very informative and educational to see all the great new things that they are doing at this medical hospital center. And just a reminder, next week in Petawawa is the large item special pickup. Just a quick reminder, no items out until this Sunday, but it's sure it'll be well utilized for our communities. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Councillor Roos. For the last couple of weeks, we'll start back on May 7th. The CAO and I hosted 2 members of the Canadian Liberators Foundation from the country of the Netherlands. They were here to meet up on the garrison with the RCDs. So their town of Leeuwarden in Holland. The RCD were their liberators back in World War II. These 2 gentlemen, their job with the Canadian Liberators Foundation is to ensure that veterans and their families continue to be recognized in the town of Leeuwarden and that they're brought over for special ceremonies. But I believe there's only, during the meeting, they said there's only 1 veteran remaining alive from World War II. So their plan is to have that veteran there in 2025 with his families for the celebration. The purpose of our meeting with these gentlemen was to explore the opportunity for Petawawa to become a twin city with the town of Leeuwarden in Holland. These 2 gentlemen spoke with the mayor of Leeuwarden and he is all for it. So we've made some initial contact and it looks like we're going to move ahead with this. We've also, the CAO came up with the idea of bringing the Leeuwarden Parade, which is an annual event up at the garrison in the RCD parking lot, to bring it down into the town of Petawawa and make it a town celebration in conjunction with the same celebration that goes on in Leeuwarden, Holland. So that the 2 of us would have a celebration on the same day in 2 separate continents. So we're in the initial stages of this, but the RCD they're just pumped about this idea. They think it's fantastic to have the parade down here with equipment and men and make it a town-wide celebration in conjunction with the town of Leeuwarden. So it's something to look forward to. Is it April 15th? I believe
Yes.
It's April 15th. Yeah. So stay tuned for more information on that. The next day I went to McHappy Day and served the drive-through for McHappy Day. There were a lot of people surprised to see me in the drive-through window. And I got to tell you, there was something, I can't remember the acronym, but if you have the food ready before the car gets there, they ring the bell. And I got to ring the bell a few times, had my food ready. It was very motivational, I got to tell you. Later that day, I had a meeting with the Algonquin Forest, LCC. We were talking about the independent forest audit for the Algonquin Park logging that's going to take place all this year. Thanks to Deputy Mayor Sabrin for attending on Friday, May 10th, the Child Care Symposium with the county. I understand it was a pretty interesting and exciting day and that you want to go there. Excellent. On the Saturday, I attended the 100th birthday of Hazel Dupuy at the Petawawa region. And what I learned was she had 15 brothers and sisters. And at the age of 100, she can still name them all, which I thought was pretty impressive. May 14th, there was a development and property meeting at the county, 15th housing community services meeting, and I'll report those more fulsomely at the end of the month. The very next day, there was an all-day special meeting of county council. It was to discuss the asset management plan and the passing of some pretty important bylaws concerning the town of Petawawa, even though they were passed at the county. So they were presenting their asset management plan, which is a 10-year plan And their asset management plan does not include urbanization or extra work on their county roads that exist within municipalities. So like Iron Prior, Ring Crew, us, and other towns that have county roads that go through them. They don't have a policy right now to deal with urbanizing those roads. It's just shave and pave and fix what they have and don't make any additions. So what happened on that day, which is exciting for Petawawa, is they passed the bylaw, a new policy, setting out a framework to deal with all of the roads within municipalities and the potential for urbanization. So now that there's a framework, it's not, they won't be dealing with each road in each of these municipalities on a case-by-case basis. There's a framework, and it specifically lays out 50% cost sharing on certain things and 100% where the town owns and 100% where they own. But it basically came about because of Murphy Road. And now there's a framework to deal with all the other roads moving forward in the future. So it's a great thing. They also passed the bylaw that sets out a growth reserve fund. So they're going to take a certain amount of money every year and put it into a growth reserve fund specifically to be used for these urbanization projects, which is more good news. So they don't have to look for all this money when these projects pop up. May 17th, I was lucky to go to the grand opening of the new cinema on the base. An excellent entrepreneur, gentleman from Oshawa, who came up here to open the theater and provide movies for the public, not only in Petawawa, but everywhere around here. There's really no theater left unless you drive to Vancouver. So it was great to be up there, and he does not do handstands. And thanks to Councillor Driscoll and Councillor Donovan for joining me today at the Community Services at Civic Center for the Valor contest. It was kind of interesting to see. We know that we're planning on, or looking at planning on opening a youth center and what programming we can provide. So it was great to hear from all these kids what they want. And like Councillor Driscoll said, it gives me hope to see all these teenagers coming up with great ideas and beautiful projects, and it really was an awesome afternoon for sure. And that's it. Next, we have a closed meeting, so I need a motion to go into closed. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that the meeting be closed pursuant to section 239, bracket 2, bracket B, and bracket D of the Municipal Act 2001, S.O.2001 C.25, as amended to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and labor relations or employee negotiations. I'll call for the vote on the vote. It's carried.